How very kind of you to finally show up and watch my video. Sit down and open your books. Page 162. Shape-shifting curse. Shape-shifting curse mostly occurs on Muggle television networks, however, occasionally, with the right moment and the right wizard, it can spread to the wizards too. An example of a wizard affected by a shape-shifting curse would be me. You know, a few days ago I found out that apparently there is going to be a Harry Potter TV series. So, naturally, being an absolute mad fan of the wizarding world, my heart filled both with excitement and absolute, all-consuming, terrifyingly dark dread. Because whenever a popular book or movie franchise arrives in its cash-milking journey at the inevitable point of making a TV show, it usually indicates both that the franchise might be dying and that there is a very high chance of said TV show being, well, how shall I put it, similar in experience to having a nice warm shrimp juice on a hot summer day in the middle of a petrol station. However, it wasn't the fact of the series being made that grasped the apex of my attention, but rather the rumoured casting choices, in particular actor Papa Essiedu being set to play Professor Severus Snape. Let's talk about that. See, race or gender swapping characters is not really anything new. It has been done quite a few times by quite a few films and shows. The concept itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but only when it's done elegantly, fits the setting, and has correct intention. An example of elegant and fitting race swap can be seen from HBO's House of the Dragon, which made House Velaryon black. They take their roots from Valyria, which is a whole other continent of which we know very little, so it's absolutely fair to assume that people from Valyria might have been diversified in what they look like, as opposed to Westerosi, who are very much homogeneous. It fits, it makes sense, and it adds flavour. An opposite example of that is the Disney's new Snow White, whose main role cast goes directly against the very idea of the story. It's just weird. It's just unnatural, and everyone immediately hates it. And it's not because everyone is racist. It's because it's stupid. And also, everyone knows I am the real Snow White. Disney, you could have casted me and made billions. Honestly. But let's get back to this Harry Potter series. Where do you think this casting choice for Snape lands on the scale from House of the Dragon to Snow White, and how would it affect the success of the show? Could Severus Snape be black? Yes, he could. Should he? Well, my view is he shouldn't. And let me explain why before you proclaim me an enemy of humanity. Just listen. Let me first say why I think the character of Snape is not a great choice for race swapping, and I'll then share my ideas on what a more natural approach they could have taken. Firstly, when we think of Harry Potter franchise, some characters just stand out more than the others. For instance, the name Dolores Umbridge. It immediately conjures a very vivid image in your mind the moment you hear it. It's a very clearly developed, established look. And if after years and years of knowing that Dolores Umbridge looks like this, you are told, no, she now looks like this. Even though there is nothing wrong with the second picture per se, you just can't associate it with Umbridge. Who is this? I don't know. I don't know this woman. We are not associated. And the same exact reason applies to Snape. Snape has become such an iconic look that making a major alteration in his appearance, it would simply not work well. Secondly, the whole image of Snape was always described as ugly, unpleasant, sickly. It's an image that is supposed to inspire mistrust. And you cast this handsome man for it? This man looks like puppies from the entire neighborhood run to him, tails wagging the moment they see him. This man looks like every grandma in town knows him by name. This man looks like he makes the most delicious pancakes for breakfast, and I must try them. This is not a face anyone would mistrust. He's too good looking to be Snape. Not to say that Alan Rickman, who originally played Snape, was ugly, but look at him. And thirdly, Alan Rickman, God rest his soul, has done such a phenomenal job in portraying Snape that pretty much anybody who tried to fill his shoes in this role would receive backlash from fans, which can negatively affect their career. With recasts of such legendarily performed roles, there are only two ways. You either try to outshine the original, or you humbly accept that you are there to substitute for them, and you just try to mimic them best you could. But trying to reinvent the original is a very likely path to failure. And I really and sincerely hope that Papazientu can create a new alternative Snape for us, but that's going to be one hell of a task. See, as I stated before, I don't think that race or gender swapping characters should not happen. I think it can be beneficial, but it has to be done right. Making swaps for the sake of swaps when they make no sense or benefit the story in any way is just damaging to everyone. It's damaging to the story because it feels forcibly altered. It's damaging to the audience because the audience don't like and don't enjoy the forcibly altered story. And it's damaging to the actors who, despite putting so much effort into the role, become the focus of a backlash. In fact, this damage extends far beyond that. The more of badly swapped characters we have, the more the very idea of stories with swapped characters associates with bad quality in the public mind. And that in turn makes it even more difficult for, in this case, black actors to get good roles. And it's all because the showrunners can't make a swap that actually fits and makes sense. There's plenty of opportunity, you dinguses. Well, I'm sure everyone is entertained by your constant whining, Mr. Smarty Pants, but perhaps you could offer an alternative. Thanks for asking, Hermione. Well, pretty much anyone else. I mean, it makes total sense for a school in the United Kingdom to have students and staff of various backgrounds. There are plenty of characters who have less popping image that could be race or even gender swapped with a lot more grace. You could literally race swap pretty much any of the students. Well, except for the Weasleys, maybe. You could race swap Harry even. That would fit much better than having Black Snape. Harry, Hermione, Neville, Professor Flitwick, Professor Sprout, Mr. Filch, hell, even Voldemort. All of them would be far more fitting race swaps than Professor Severus Snape. Ooh, and you can make Draco a girl. Or gay. You see, the fans would love that. They would scream with excitement. And also that would add an unresolved love-hate arc to the story. You see, that's an example of a swap that actually adds something to the story. I just did a better job than you, HBO. Learn from me. And you know who I think particularly fits? Sirius Black. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to call me racist. You're going to say, oh, because his name is Black, you want him to be black? Hey, I'm not a racist, you're dumb. Listen, think about this. Making Sirius Black makes sense for two reasons. That's four. First, it creates a natural and seamless diversity. If Sirius is black, then so would likely be his cousins, Narcissa and Bellatrix, which then makes Draco mixed race. The Malfoy family fan club would explode. Secondly, although the Dumb and Loud club would immediately attack the idea of a black character having the surname of Black, ironically, it makes sense. Listen, the House of Black is one of the few ancient wizarding families, which means they trace their origins far back to medieval times. In both real world and the wizarding world, surnames were often given based on either a job, a prominent feature, a place of origin, or an achievement, which is why Harry is Potter, as in someone who makes pots, and why Neville is unfortunately Longbottom. So if you were a medieval man, or a woman, there were women in medieval times too, but if you saw a very exotic at the time, dark-skinned wizard in medieval England, what surname would he likely get? Come on. You can call me names, you can insult me all you want, but that makes sense. Go away. But of course, this could never actually happen, and not just because modern showrunners are absolutely terrified of any black characters being even slightly negative. So Narcissa, no, Bellatrix, no chance. But it's not because of that. It's because these race swaps are not done out of good intention like they should be, but rather out of immorality of greed. It's just another publicity trick. If you just make a show, maybe 1 million people will find out about it and then 10,000 will watch it. But if you make a show and you conveniently leak to the press that you are making a very controversial decisions regarding a major character, the word spreads. Whether the attention is positive or negative no longer matters. Publicity equals numbers, and numbers equal sales. The more people total know about your show, the more people will potentially watch it. If not out of love, then out of hate. But either way, your money's made. Oh, that sounds like a poem. Even I personally only found out about the show because of this Black Snape news. So it clearly works. Will I watch it? Yes, I will. Because, well, I love Harry Potter franchise, and also I'm an optimist. I like to believe that in the midst of the immoral moneymakers, there hides one artist who will save the show. And maybe Papa Esiedu will overcome all this backlash he's unfairly getting and give us a new, different Snape, in spite of the showrunner's complete disregard for him, the audience, or the story they have been entrusted with. But that remains to be seen. And if you made it this far, you make a great choice for the role of Dobby the Elf. And it's not because you have big ears, although you do, but it's because you are loyal. And I like you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.